What's up, y'all? This is Simon from Grant's Lawn Care. Welcome back to the channel. As you can see, I am push mowing. And if you've been following me for quite a period of time, you'll know that about 99% of my properties, I do not really have to use a push mower. All of them can be handled by my zero turn. But in today's episode, as you can see, I had to break out the old Taro. I had to break her out. And the reason being is because this is a new property. This is my second cut. And when I did my meeting with the property owners to, give them an estimate and take a look at the property and everything, I picked up on a few things while I was there, in my mental of notes. And what I picked up on was I noticed that the property owner was already trying to, take care of the property, the best they can. And I noticed in the front yard that there was a actual, mark. You can see where a rider was already on that property. And at the bottom of the property where all of the water from the rain and their sprinkler system that rolls down, you could see where a tire mark was already made from someone already trying to mow the lawn using a heavy riding mower. Well, I took that into my notes, in my mental, as I was walking around and seeing what I would be taking on and having to do when I get there, if they accept me as a client, which you can see I'm cutting it, so they did. And I realized, I said, well, on this particular one, I'm going to have to go ahead and break out one of my push mowers because I don't want to put my heavy zero turn on this property and mess it up, because that zero turn is pretty heavy. The first thing that'll happen is I'll start to slide. The second thing that'll happen is I'll get stuck. The third thing that's going to be happening is I'm going to turn that yard into an eyesore for a little while. So I had to film the turns with, well, I'm going to have to take my push mower, and what I'll do is I'll push mow the bottom part of this yard and put that lightweight mower on it and leave a great cut behind and go from there. And I guess I'm saying all that to say is, guys, always be pretty much prepared for some type of change in your plans of tackling some lawns, because on average some people are like, okay, well, yeah, it's wet, but I'll still put my zero turn on it and whatnot. And then you're going to cause, like I said, that damage, because that grass, believe it or not, even me walking in my boots, my foot was still kind of sinking, and it was still kind of, tracking up just a little bit, not as bad as a heavy lawnmower would have done, but you look around behind you when you're walking, you're like, golly, this land holds some water pretty good. So I broke out the Taro and I started cutting before I started recording. This is, as you can see, a POV. I had the phone actually on my phone clip mounted on my belt, and that's why it's a little wobbly. But I just went ahead and pushed the whole front yard. I needed that little bit of exercise. Anyway, broke a little sweats. Ended up getting my heart going pretty good, and it actually felt pretty decent just to push mow. We all get kind of spoiled with the zero turns, and I'll raise my hand first. I'm pretty guilty of it. Those zero turns are, heaven sent when it comes to tackling properties. I'll be the first to admit that. I love my Skag zero turn. And on this same particular property, while I'm at it, the back gate is actually just barely wide enough for me to get my rider through. And when I'm going through the gate to actually get in there, my wheels on the front of my zero turn are kind of like turning sideways, kind of like having to force my way through it, because they have like a little decorated walkway per se leading into the back gate. So when I first got there and did the survey, the owner was like, yeah, 48 inches, get in there with ease. So I was like, okay, well, he knows the property. So when I got there the first time, I was like, oh my goodness, I cannot fit through this gate. So after about 5 minutes of backing up, inching forward, backing up, inching forward, turning sideways, got the wheels to finally fit through the opening of the little decorated walkway. It's actually like those decorated bricks that they have lining the rock walkway and some rocks. Finally, after getting my front wheels through there and getting my back wheels to stop spinning, I finally got into the backyard, because the backyard is pretty wide and big, and I definitely don't want to push more that. So all in all, guys, at the end of the day, in this point I'm trying to make is always be prepared for making a certain adaptation to the certain properties, so you can always leave a great job behind at the end of the cut, because at the end of the day, life is about changes and you got to adapt and go with the flow. So keep on watching. Well, guys, about to go ahead and wrap this video up. Hope y'all sit back and enjoy this last few minutes, and I'll leave off with just a few tips of my opinion that's helped me become successful so far, that I've learned from others, and I'll pass it on to you just in case you may not have heard these tips and tricks or trade. Tip number one, I'll say, is regards to doing your pricing. Guys and girls, just be aware that once you go out and start doing your pricing and walking around these properties, getting ready to get a yes or no from the potential new customer, when you're walking around that property, make sure you're spotting out old damages that are already on that property that may have been caused by maybe a lawnmower, weed eater, or anything in general, that person can turn around and 1 or 2 cuts later of you taking on that property and say, well, you've caused me property damage. Spot things out when you go to these properties, such as when you go to a lot of the mobile homes, a lot of them still have the vinyl siding. Some people have already got theirs brick underpinned, and that's neither here or there. That's your preference, and that's what you can afford. But one of the main things that will get damage on properties is those vinyl sidings on those homes. All it takes is a rock. I've raised my hand. I've already put a hole in the side of one house this year from an unknown object. It was actually a piece of metal. I found it after the damages were done, and it shot from under my lawnmower straight into the side of a house. I alerted the property owner, and we got it taken care of, and that's neither here nor there, because a lot of times when you walk these properties, if they're overgrown, you're not going to find every single thing that is hitting below that grass. You're just not. And that just goes to when you're doing these overgrown properties, if it's a new client, realizing the direction of your chute and where you're throwing this grass that may have hidden debris in it. You always want to shoot your grass as much as possible away from the house. Are there times where you can't? Absolutely. Yes, a lot of guys have these chute blockers on their lawnmowers. That is definitely a game changer when it comes to protecting things from coming from under that deck at a high speed and hitting something and causing damage. I don't have one. Have I looked into one? Absolutely, because like I said, I believe they're definitely a money saver if you can put one on your lawnmower just for situations like that. But however, when it came to my situation, I had my deck up on, I think it was number 3, as I was doing my first initial cut, and it came from the front of my lawnmower, from directly under the front, and went straight into the side of the house. And when I saw it happen, I just dropped my head and I just kept mowing, because there was no need for me to stop. There's nothing I could do. The damage is already done. So going back to what I was saying, take pictures when you go to these new properties of damages that are already there. You see damages on the side of the house, you see damages to the underpinning, you see damages to the AC unit wire, which in my opinion, when you're doing your work around those wires, I try not to get anywhere close to damaging those wires, because they're already fragile, and you do not want to be responsible for paying for an AC unit. Take pictures, guys. That's what I'm trying to say. Take pictures. Walk around every property owner if they're home. Even if they're not home, if they tell you, hey, just go ahead, do an estimate on my property or whatever. Take pictures completely of everything, a full 360. Send it to them. Say, hey, this is what I noticed on your property prior to me, being accepted as your potential new lawn person or not. This is what I saw. I'm putting it out. So I won't be held responsible for damages that were already there, because you would be the number one scapegoat for holes and damages that the property owner may not even know are there, and you would be the first person they can fall on to. My God. So the second thing I got to say is also, when it comes down to the actual pricing of certain property, and you're actually including all of the services that the client wants, stand firm on what you believe your work is worth. Stand firm, charge how you're supposed to charge for your business, and make sure you don't walk off that property and you regret it. You don't think you charge what you're supposed to charge. I seen on a video on another channel a few weeks ago, what may be too high for them definitely may not be too high for someone else, because at the end of the day, you're providing a service, your time, your energy, your health on these properties, and at the end of the day, you want to make sure you the last thing I'll leave off is make sure that when you are on these different YouTube channels and pages, or reading articles and everything online when it comes to lawn care or just running a business, entrepreneurship in general, just make sure that at the end of the day, you all have fun, and don't get too caught up in just work, and not going out, sometimes, and actually enjoying just a free day or two, because a lot of people will just pack on just so much work at one particular time, trying to get everything done in one particular area. And not only are you causing yourself to be tired and over-exaggerating the use of your body, it's constantly, on the grind, which, and I get it, a lot of people have to just be on that grind. That's just the way life is. Guys, I guess, and I'm preaching to myself, enjoy the labors of a day or two off from always being on the go. I got to the point already this year, I was starting to tap dance a little bit around burnout already, because it was like so much was happening, personal life, trying to run a business, trying to do this gig, trying to do that gig, trying to maintain, the other part-time job that I do. And burnout started to kick in early, because I felt like I had so much on my plate to do. And it was like every single day when you wake up, it's always something that you have to do. Just set aside just a little bit of time to enjoy yourself, catch a little breather, give yourself just a mental break, a physical break, and at the end of the day, overwork yourself, burn yourself out, or overdo it too much on these properties. At the end of the day, you only hurting yourself, because if you can't get out there to do the job because you're mentally, physically, and emotionally drained, and you just don't feel like dealing with the task that you have already lined up, you're gonna hurt yourself, because people won't have a problem sitting there saying, hey, well, if you can't get to it or whatever, thank you for your services, we'll go another direction, get somebody that we can rely on. Because I'm telling you, I was tapping on burnout already, and we're only in the middle of June. Burnout usually comes around the end of August, early September, depending on where you are in the state's cutting grass, before the season starts to change and whatnot. But burnout is real, is my point. It can come early, it can come midway, it can come at the end of the season. It all depends on what you got on your plate, how much you got on your plate, and the goals you're trying to accomplish at the end of the day. If you get to the point where you're starting to feel burned out, the best advice I can tell you, and I'm gonna wrap this video up so I won't sound like I'm rambling, take a moment, hit that reset button, think some things through, clear your mind, and figure out, a better way to avoid feeling how you're feeling. So with that being said, this is Simon from Grant's Lawn Care. I'll catch y'all on the next one. Hopefully you made it this far. Like, comment, subscribe, and share if you enjoyed this content and the thoughts that come to my mind throughout the day. I'll catch y'all on the next one.